Hi guys, I'm Ram Agarwal. You are watching my channel 52 Pixels. Let's get started. Hi guys, in this tutorial we are going to see how to use focus range and drop a realistic shadow but a fake shadow in Photoshop. So as you can see, these are the tomatoes which are like photographed, and out of all these tomatoes only this one is in focus, rest everything is kind of blurred. And what we are going to do is just select this tomato using the focus range and then crop it over here and paste it in this image. And after pasting it in this image, we are going to analyze the shadow and then make a fake shadow just to make the object fit into this image. So to get started, what we are going to do is just go to focus area 1, and to start doing it, just go to select and focus area. After going to focus area, it's going to take some time, but once it gets the time, as you can see, the object is selected properly and just the way we want it. There are some imperfections like this part, so we can always do that manually and fix the issue. So we can just tap on the minus brush and we can just draw a line across this region. Maybe that would work. So some regions are yet to be properly selected, so we can just paint them out manually, maybe just like this. So as you can see, the software has clearly selected this tomato in focus and rest everything is now not selected. So what we can do is just go to select and mask, and over here in select and mask we have the option as radius and smooth. We are going to work with these two, so I can just increase the radius to around 4 pixels. I guess that looks quite good, and I can just smoothen up the edges around 35 would do. So as you can see, the image is looking quite good. The selection is just perfect. We can check it on black background as well. So currently it's on white background. We can put it on black background and check for any imperfections. So I guess the selection is just quite perfect. There's just one flaw over here. There's this small flaw. We can work with the flaw. So it's this part and this part. So we can just cancel this one first. And as you can see, using this brush we can just add the remaining part which was not added because of the selection. So well, this is the complete selection. Now what I can do is just click on OK and import this selection. And now what we are going to do is just press Ctrl plus C and Ctrl plus V to paste this image over here. So the image would look around like this. I'll place it over here. And as you might be thinking, this image looks quite, it looks edited and it just doesn't fit the shadows and the color and the size. So for that we are going to press Ctrl plus T first of all, and we can just reduce the size so that it matches the size of the vegetable cutter plate. It would be around like this, and press enter. Now the remaining part is adding a shadow. So as you might have guessed, we are going to go to FX and drop shadow. So as you can see, a shadow has been added. The distance is 33, opacity is 63, and size is 51. Spread is a little less, but yeah, that's our shadow. We can reduce the size actually. 27 looks good for now, and we can click on OK. But there's a problem with this. The first thing is that it looks kind of, it doesn't match with the shadow doesn't match with the shadow in the picture. So if you can see, the shadow in the picture is like the light is coming from this angle and the shadow is flat and it's laid on the ground. And in case of the tomato, the shadow is behind the object, so it looks like the tomato is standing out from the image. And we don't want that. We don't want the tomato to pop out from the image. We want to blend the tomato inside the image. So for that we are going to work with the shadow, and if you have forgotten already, the trick is that right click on the drop shadow, and here we have the option as create layer. So what happens is that as you can see, the embedded effect is now created as a separate layer, and we can work with the layer just as we work with other images. So we have this layer now, and we can use the transform and distort effect to distort the shadow and make it somewhat like this in this angle, so that the object looks flat and it looks embedded inside of the image. So to start with, we are going to go to edit and transform. Here we have option as distort, but instead of going that long way, what we can do is just select the shadow layer, tap on Ctrl plus T, and then just press Ctrl to start distorting the image. So as you can see, by pressing Ctrl plus T, I am able to distort the shadow. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll just press Ctrl now and start working with the shadow. So as you can see, the shadow is already laying flat on the chopping board, and it looks quite realistic for now, but we have to make it even more realistic because it still doesn't look that good, and I bet you want to see the proper shadow. So it's going to be somewhat like this. Make sure that you notice the angle properly. So the angle of shadow of the chopping board is in this direction, so we want our shadow to be in this direction. Currently it is in this direction, we want it to be in this direction. So we can just hover our mouse a little beyond the point of selection, and we can just rotate the shadow somewhat like this, and then place it into the proper location, and maybe work with the shadow even more because the shadow is not so far off. As you can see, the shadow is just over here underlaying somewhere, so we have to work with that a little bit. Make sure that you press the control key and then only you start dragging these the points. It's just because if you leave the control key, it's going to transform the image just like this, and we want to distort it, so hold the control key and then work with the distortion. I guess we are nearing the completion of the shadow. It would look somewhat like this. I can press enter, and this is the shadow that we want. Now we can just reduce the opacity for matching the color over here. So the shadow over here is quite blunt, which means the shadow over here needs to be blunt as well. So it would be around 75% of opacity, and maybe we can work with the blending mode. I guess hard light or linear light. Which one would you choose? Hard light or linear light? I guess linear light looks more realistic than hard light, so we can use the linear light and maybe decrease the opacity even more to around 65. I guess 65 opacity looks good with this one. And yeah, there's one more trick, that the tomato, the color is looking good, the tomato is actually looking embedded in the image, and it doesn't make out that the image is a different image. But still, if you want to add the reality, to add the real effect of the tomato being inside the image, maybe you might want to work with the coloring of the tomato. So for that, you can just press Ctrl and then tap on the thumbnail, so you get the selection back, and then you can work with the levels, so to adjust the shadow or the blacks and the whites. So as you can see, we can work with the image details. We won't mess the image much. As you can see, this is before, this is after. Just we added a little light over here so that it looks like the light is falling from that angle and the shadow is in this angle, so it looks more realistic. So that's what we are going to do. And well, you can work with the image even more. We can add some we can use burn tool, or maybe we can work with the shadow. So for that, I think we should work with the shadow even more. I'll go to the shadow layer back again, and I'll add a mask to the shadow. Now using the brush, and the foreground color as black. Opacity would be 18. I'll just increase the brush size. A little more. 385 looks good with this one. And the hardness is quite low, 4%. We can increase it to around 20%. And then just give a nice little tap. So as you can see, the shadow is kind of blurred over here nearing the end, and it's a sharp shadow near the base of the tomato. So now it looks even more realistic. So as you can see, I've added the shadow and it looks quite realistic now. We can always adjust some parts of the shadow and then work with the image quite well. So well, that's it for today guys. Hope you liked the video. Make sure you subscribe to 52 Pixels and tap on the bell icon to get notified. Thank you.